Welcome back to Love, Hope, and Faith. I'm here with Kelly Phillips on staff with Crew, otherwise known as Campus Crusade. And we'll talk about why there's a name change. But anyway, you were sharing your story of how you grew up in a Christian home, and but that you knew all the right answers. I think that was such a key thing you said. You knew all the right answers. You were in the church, and it was a big part of your life.
Yeah.
But on break, you told me that it was all in your head, but not necessarily in your heart yet. Don't you think that's so common?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, there needs to be a point where you can, really believe it in your heart. I mean,
because that's where transformation happens, is when our hearts change.
Yeah.
You know, not just by head knowledge.
Right.
But I think also what you said was so important, and I'm hearing as a parent, as a parent, I think we're really good at preaching to our kids and telling our kids what we believe, and, especially, Christian family, this is what we believe as a family. But what you're saying is, what I got from you was, I think, the asking questions and causing you, because you said that in the beginning of the show when you're interacting with the youth at college, you're asking them what they believe and what they think, and it's causing them to think about how they apply it to their own life. And so I think as parents, we need to ask more questions of our kids. Yeah.
So I think that was kind of the moment for me when I realized I don't quite know I know what I believe, but I don't know if I've internalized it and believed it. And so I think for me, I needed to choose it on my own, and I needed to face that choice of, am I going to follow Christ or am I not? I mean, there's two choices. Are you going to do it or are you not? So going away to college was really pivotal for me, because I was away from my family for the first time ever in my whole life, and I got to choose. Was I going to wake up and go to church on Sunday, or was I not going to?
Yes.
So I think with that choice, it was good for me to experience kind of a freedom in choosing. And I think being in college, I met great people, and that's where I got involved with Crew. That's where my Crew story kind of fits in, is I met a junior in college, and she knocked on my door in my dorm room, and she said, "We're having a Bible study if you'd like to come. It's on Monday nights down the hall." And I thought I'd like to experience that. I'd like to see what college kids, college students are doing with their faith, because you see that kind of the stereotypical college experience, and I wasn't sure if there was anything else. I really thought maybe that's what I have to do if I'm going to fit in college and be known by people. But being with a group of women who were pursuing their faith, and I mean, watching them read the Bible was like they really believed what was in here, and they really wanted to know what God was saying to them and to their life. And I was like, okay, that's different. It's different for me, because I'd always been around older people who believed in God, but not a lot of young people. And so for me to be in a group like that was like, okay, this is real to me.
Yeah.
So
How long
I
had you
started
been in college before you joined this study?
a week.
Okay.
It was a
So
very
right away.
beginning.
Okay.
And we have this thing in Crew, we say the first 4 weeks will define the next 4 years of your life.
Okay.
And the next 4 years of your life will define the next 40 years of your life.
Amen. That's a good.
So it's like those first 4 weeks, what are you going to get involved with?
Yeah.
What are you going to choose? What friends are you going to have?
Yeah.
You're going to go to the parties, you're going to stay in, you're going to go to church. So there's all these choices, and I think God was so faithful to protect me and to keep me in a place where He brought me these people who cared for me.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that I felt like people knew me and loved me apart from my family, because they really saw who I was.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty in the gospel.
Yes.
God sees us, He knows us, He's chosen us, and He loves us regardless of what we do because of who He is.
Exactly.
And I experienced that through this group. And so I think that's when Jesus became real to me. It's like, oh my gosh, He loves me so much.
Wow, that's powerful.
And I get to know Him, and He gets to interact with me, and I get to hear His voice. And I saw these women who really lived full lives. And I'm like, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it convinced me. And I was talking to someone the other day, and they said, how can you be sure you know God? And I said, I've never been more sure of anything in my whole entire life.
Yeah.
There's just something about it that I know that God is real and that He loves me. And so that's when I think my faith started to really grow. It's almost like these seeds were planted really deep when I was young, and they were sprouting. It's like people were watering them, and God was doing a lot of growth in my life. So that's when I started seeing really good fruit of what He'd done in my life, is when I started to learn and to share who He was with other people. So,
Amen. And I love that how you said your parents did a great job of planting those deep seeds, and the church did a great job of planting those deep seeds. But we can't have a second-hand faith. We have to have a first-hand faith, and that means a personal relationship with Jesus, not our parents' faith. Not our parents' relationship.
Can't be someone
but
else's. It's gotta be mine.
Yeah, it has to be between us and the Lord.
That's right.
And it's so beautiful because it just never stops growing. I mean, unless we turn away, but He's always there. He always loves us. And I love what you said. It's not based on how we perform or how good we are, how bad we are.
Yeah.
He loves us no matter what.
Yeah, he loves us in spite of us.
Exactly, exactly. And so that's the message. So then how did you get involved then with Crew?
Yeah, so the way Crew works on college campuses is it's a ministry. So it's a community of people. And so we have small groups, Bible studies in every single dorm on campus, which is awesome because students kind of have those two options. You either go out with your friends or you find different friends, or you can have the same friends but have different things to do.
Yeah.
And so we have small groups in every dorm, and so I got involved in that first of all. And then we have a large group meeting where everyone from the movement gathers. And we have 800 to 1,000 students that gather every Tuesday.
You go to Cal Poly?
Yeah, that's where I went to college.
Yeah.
And that was incredible to see young people who wanted to be there. They didn't have to be there.
Yeah.
Their parents weren't there.
Yes.
So it's like you go and you see all these people and you think, like, this is real to them. And so it's really cool. It's a lot of power in that.
Yes.
So there's those meetings. Then we have different events during the week, different outreaches, and just time to gather and have fellowship with other believers. So it's encouraging for students who want to get plugged in, want to meet friends, and people who really want to be known by other people. Like, we want to know people. And so it's just a great place. So that's how I got involved. And I was involved all 4 years of college, and now it's my job. It's what I do.
So what did you graduate? What degree did you graduate with?
My degree was in foreign language.
Okay.
So I did Spanish.
Okay.
And I did some French in there too.
Okay, cool.
And then I did a year-long missions trip with Crew to El Salvador.
What was that like?
It was incredible. It was like my first experience stepping out in faith in a really different way. You know, being in a new culture, being with new people, different language, but he's the same God. He does the same things. College students there, I work with college students in El Salvador. They have the same issues, same problems, same struggles.
People are people.
People are people.
Yes, yes.
And culture is different, but our need for Jesus is very much the same. So I think through that I saw, you know, humanity and how we're all the same and we're all broken and have sin and we need saving. We all need it.
Did you find that in their culture their faith was more alive than it is in American culture? Because there's
it's different.
You know, I hear that. I've not been on mission myself, but I hear people that go to, you know, third world countries, you know, where there's so much poverty and all they have is their faith, and their faith is so alive and it really sustains them in a bigger way than here maybe. Do you find that?
Yeah, I think culturally, I think they get excited. You know, they're like, we go to church and people are dancing and singing.
Yeah, more passionate. Yeah.
Yeah, they're it's a very passionate culture. But I think I've met people in the States here who love Jesus so much that they're just as passionate. But I think as a culture, they're probably more so. Yeah. But it's cool to see different characteristics of God through different cultures.
Yes.
Like they're very warm and loving and caring. And hospitality is a big deal. So I got to see God's gift of hospitality through people.
That's
and I think
neat.
that was a cool thing for me to experience.
If you could pick one thing through your trip there, what did you learn? Or what did you get out of it? Or how did it change you if there's one thing?
Well, what I did every day is we went and shared our faith. And so we'd go to campus and we'd have conversations with students. And I think through that, I always say taking steps of faith is when God really moves.
Yes.
If you say, God, whatever you want to do, it might be scary, but I'm gonna take a step of faith.
Yeah.
And you're gonna meet me there and you're gonna do something. And so for us every day, we'd say, God, what do you have for us today? We have no idea what we're doing. We're gonna talk to people. And every day we would see different things. Like this one time we were talking to this girl and we talked about God's love that day. And she just starts crying and she says, I needed to know someone loved me today. It's like
the Holy Spirit totally connected.
If we didn't take a step of faith, we wouldn't have talked to her and she wouldn't have known that day.
Yeah.
So I think I just learned God wants to use us. And if we're faithful, He will.
I love that. You know, I think so many times we get, including myself, you know, just, you know, like, okay, Lord, is this your will or is it not your will? And so we can kind of be stagnant or stay still.
Yeah.
And I'm learning in my faith that I'd rather step out in faith and be wrong than stay frozen and do nothing.
And never grow.
You know what I'm saying? And never
Yeah.
grow. And because if I am wrong in stepping out, He's going to show me that. But He's also, you know, I think pleased when we just step out, even if it's not quite in the right direction.
Sure.
Because He'll get us back on track.
He'll guide us.
Yeah. But that trust, that leap of faith, like you said, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So you got to see that type of thing. Is that what really, so you're saying that that's really what you were encouraged by in that trip, was just seeing God work?
Oh, yeah.
Through steps of faith.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
So then you came back, so you were there for how long?
For 11 months.
11 months. Okay.
Yeah.
They're thinking a couple months.
Almost
okay,
a year,
good,
yeah.
Good. Do you think you'll go on mission again?
I think so. And with Crew, what we do is we send students internationally to mission trips. And so as staff, I get to lead them, which is great. So every summer, I get to go somewhere new, and we get to share the gospel with people. So I love that as part of my job. But we do that pretty often because we want students to see God can use you. Like, this is the power and potential that you have. And they come back here to the States and they learn, I could share Jesus with anybody, anytime, in their jobs, in their classes, with their family. So it's a great training tool for us to show people how to live on mission.
Yeah, absolutely. Living life on purpose.
That's right.
Yeah, I think we're going to be going to break in about another minute or so, yeah. But because when we come back, I wanted to talk to you about what do you think is the biggest reason people don't evangelize?
Yeah.
You know, what are the obstacles that people have? I think probably number one might be fear, but, you know, and just not doing it right. But don't you think that the story is so important, like I said in the beginning of the show, just sharing your own personal story?
There's power in story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And also, you know, being with the youth, like we talked about in the beginning of the show, people don't necessarily want to have the Bible shoved down their throat.
Right.
They want to just have that conversation, have that freedom to share, you know.
Yeah.
Do you think that Campus Crusades growing, or, you know, we hear in the news about how ministries are taking off college campuses, but yet your ministry has not been impacted that way, has it?
Right. No, we've been growing. God's using it. It's really cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really anointed. Sounds like, yeah, good. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.